we know that most powerful human capability is our imagination. With imagination, we can think of the stars, we can decide where we want to go on holiday, we can create new worlds. But for children, there's something else different. They can turn sticks into swords. They can turn blankets and their beds into houses and climb trees and mountains. And that is what we're talking about. But do you know what is the second most powerful capability in humans? Curiosity. The curiosity, the power to ask the question, why? Why not? How come? That is what we can do. However, curiosity alone is not enough. We need to take action. It's like sitting in an office, sitting in a meeting room, trying to figure out, wondering, why am I sitting in this room? What is this meeting about? If you don't take action, it doesn't mean anything. The first thing you should do in a meeting like that, when you're curious, why am I here? Is to ask. That's the first action you can do, is to ask. May I ask, why are we having this meeting? Why is it taking 2 hours? That's the first action you can take. Whatever happens after that, we let it be. That's one of the most important things we have to do. So, we can think in history, someone like Christopher Columbus. He was curious. Could he reach the east by traveling west? We all know the story, right? It took him 10 years. That question bothered him and he wanted to find a way to do that. So he needed to get funded. He needed to buy ships and get people to fund it. So it took him 10 years before a group of people would fund his ships. And as they say, the rest is history, right? For Thomas Edison, he was curious during his time when light was only done by fire, candles, gas. His curiosity was, can I create light without fire? It took him 2 years to figure out, to experiment. How would you be able to make a filament and create light? And that's how he created the light bulb. And we have that all today. So curiosity with action results in creativity. Curious alone is not enough. We think about things, we can ask questions, and those are the things that is going to create change. Now, I'll give another example which is more recent. We all know about AI. And we also all know about DeepSeek. Until DeepSeek came at the beginning of this year, everyone thought AI, to be able to do AI like Microsoft, by Google, OpenAI, you will need billions and billions of dollars to be able to. You'll need the latest GPUs from NVIDIA and so on. So DeepSeek in China, they were constrained. We're not allowed to get the best CPUs. Sorry, we can't. Export controls. They're unable to access. So they thought, what can we do different? And with that, we now are able to see what China is doing now with AI in a different way. So let me share something a bit more personal. In my background, during the time before the internet, before Wi-Fi, before Bluetooth, even before USB. What were we doing? Before the internet, you have a computer. And the only thing that is connected to the computer is probably your printer. You don't even have internet. So the printer and the computer, you need a cable to connect to it. You cannot print from anywhere else. So if you have a camera or you have a laptop, you wanted to print on that printer, you have to have another cable. Or if you have a camera, you need to be able to take that picture, somehow put it into the computer in the right format, and then print it from the computer into the printer. So our question was, can we do it by just walking up and print without a cable? What about from any device? Like a phone, like a camera, like a PDA. So those were the constraints that we were thinking through. How can we break the cable? How can we release that connection with the PC? How can we are able to take any device on your hand, walk up and print by pressing a button? So there is the issue of, well, not every device looks like a computer. Not every device can have a connector that's big enough to put your cable. So the things that we think through is, how can you do it? And the only way to do that is to do it wirelessly. But wireless is really expensive. So that's another constraint. You can't afford to put a very expensive chip into your phone or your camera. So we thought about it. The best way we thought about was this. We have this in our home every day. It's your remote control. Your remote control is wireless. And the technique there is infrared. And infrared is very cheap. So we went through and thought, okay, let's create a standard based on infrared so that every device can have it. We make it so cheap that they can do it. So we created the Infrared Data Association, otherwise known as IRDA. At the end result, you can see you can walk up to a printer and able to just print. Just press a button and print. You ended up supported by 200 companies, and it spawned 20 startups worldwide, including PayPal. How did that happen? Because PayPal saw how two devices can talk to each other and said, instead of sending a file, why don't we send money? That's how PayPal got started, actually. And because of this, it paved the way for Bluetooth. How did that happen? Look, when infrared is implemented in over 2 billion devices as a result, look at all the different ranges of products. The next step then is, when the price of Bluetooth went down, it can be implemented everywhere, including the kinds of devices we have today, headphones and so on. So that's how constraints come in. So constraints ignites creativity and innovation through action. You have to do something after you're curious. So those people are called crazy ones, wild ones, people who are curious about all kinds of things. In history, we recognize them in some way, but initially they're crazy, they're wild, they're the ones who chose to think differently. So the thing we want to do now is, this is what's going to happen. The question now we have is, will AI take over what humans do? Remember, AI is getting so powerful. So that is the ultimate question today. Will AI do that? My answer is, AI will change the world faster than any of us can imagine. And no education system can prepare anyone at that speed that AI will change the world. Just think about the education system we have in Malaysia, in anywhere. It takes a few years for curriculum to change. So the next generation will need to be able to deal with it with themselves. There is no way education system can put in. So how do we do that? We need to encourage our children to be curious. We need to. They are naturally curious in the first place. So we need to let them ask questions. Actually, you don't need to teach children to ask questions. They will ask, why? Why can't I do this? Where are we getting there? When can I have lunch? They ask. So that's how they learn. So what we need to do is to guide them, to help them think through. And our objective is we need to let them build their imagination, the ability to create something out of nothing. That's imagination. We need to let them be continuously curious to ask why and why not. Once that happens, they get the culture, they get the habit of taking action. Try stuff. Today's schools is teaching them to pass exams. Is teaching them, don't do this, just do that. What's going to happen when AI catches on in the next few years? For all of us, we know what to do, but for them, they need to be nurtured. What we need to do is give them the chance to be nurtured. You need to give them the chance to think that it's your way, your thinking, so that when they grow up, they will start thinking, ooh, this AI is doing this. What about this? Because today's children, they are all familiar with internet, with social media, and very soon AI will be everywhere. Knowingly or unknowingly, AI will be embedded everywhere. If you don't have them ask questions, they will not even know what's going to happen. So my view is, what we need to do when anyone asks us, it cannot be done. We should be asking, why not? So the conclusion I want to give is, constraints don't kill creativity. Constraints ignite creativity. Thank you.